The process of mating components together can be automated by using SmartMates and mate references. However, you can automate this process even further by using mate reference pairs. SOLIDWORKS doesn't actually have a feature called a mate reference pairs. I'm simply using this term to describe special functionality available when using mate references. In earlier lessons, we saw how mate references can be added, either manually or by extracting them from an existing assembly. In both of these cases, the result was a mate reference being added to a single part. In this lesson, I'll show you how adding the same mate reference to two components can make them snap together effortlessly in any assembly. Here, I have an assembly with 3 components. These bosses will be used to mount different types of handles. From the File Explorer, I'll drag in one of the handles. As I drag the handle in, watch as it snaps into position perfectly. If I examine the mate group in the Feature Manager, notice 3 mates were added automatically. The same will happen if I drag in a second and third handle. If for any reason the handle is positioned in the wrong direction, you can flip it by pressing the Tab key on your keyboard. In previous lessons, we saw that mate references could include up to 3 references, but only one was added as a mate. If the first one was not valid, the second one was, and so on. Here, however, all 3 mates were added. This is because we're taking advantage of corresponding mate reference pairs. Let's take a look at the DisplayBoard component in its own window. If I edit its mate reference, you'll see 3 references are defined: concentric, coincident, and parallel. Also, notice the mate reference has been given the name handle. With this in mind, let's take a look at one of the handles in its own window. I'll edit this mate reference as well. Notice the same name is used, and each of the references is defined exactly the same as we saw in the DisplayBoard component. That is, the primary reference is concentric, the secondary is coincident, and the tertiary is parallel. Further, each has the alignment condition set to any. As you can see, quite a bit of setup has been done in order to make the handles snap into position. Here are the rules you must follow. You must create mate references on each of the 2 components to be mated. The mate references must be given the same name. The type of mate and alignment must be the same for each of the primary, secondary, and tertiary references. Now, if this seems like a lot of work to accomplish what seem to be fairly simple mates, I'll give you 2 scenarios where this type of upfront work is well worth it. If your designs are to be custom configured for each customer, especially if this is to be done by non-SOLIDWORKS experts, this assembly method will be well worth your efforts. An example of this would be furniture. If you offer 10 leg designs for a particular table, you can easily swap one leg out for another if you use mate references. Another scenario might involve electrical connectors. If you have many types of connectors that fit the same type of socket, you can drag and drop any of the connectors and they'll snap into place automatically. Even if you can't think of a use for mate reference pairs right now, eventually you'll find yourself creating the same mate between the same components over and over. When you get tired of doing that, remember SOLIDWORKS does offer a tool that can help.